Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably going to be the most informative video you've ever seen regarding what is actually gravity. And it's nothing what science tells you. So I've done previous videos on gravity, but people are still not getting it. I see some flat earth sites haven't connected, although they're using some of my terms now, they're understanding what I'm saying, but they haven't grasped the whole model. So I'm going to expand on the whole thing now, and you should know by the end of the session exactly what it is. Okay? I can't just draw it as I go because there's too much information and I'll miss it all. As it is, I'm probably going to miss some. So I don't like to miss the important stuff. But let's just work our way through it, okay? We are living in a protected realm. A holographic projection being the toroidal field. The inverse to the torus is the hyperboloid, the hourglass at the centre. So everything starts from this hyperboloid at the centre. That's where creation is. And there it is, a blown up image. It's the two forces coming together. The downward force and an upward force. Force from above Earth and a force from below Earth. And they're spiraling together. And they're moving at 15 degrees per hour. That's 15 degrees per hour. So it spins this. There's the ecliptic plane. Our Earth is from the hole. Now the Earth is in the centre. It's the place of rest. Everything is moving around it, spinning around it, avoiding the place of rest. This is coming up 15 degrees per hour. The ecliptic plane is turning 15 degrees per hour. That's why all our stars turn 15 degrees per hour. Okay, we got that. Now we have to understand Earth. How is Earth created? Well, it's understanding the weak force and the strong force. In a magnet, there is a strong force and a weak force. Nobody knows the magnetic field of a magnet. You've all been fooled. You've all been led to believe that 1/2 plus this half equals 1 whole. Well, it does in one sense, but you have to consider the fact that the energy of that half and the energy of that half are not exactly the same. I mean, in total they're the same, they equal each other, but one is weak. It's weak because it's more dispersed. And one is strong. So there's a strong force and a weak force. Although the overall energy in this weak force, this big field, is the same as what's in here, that's all science knows. That's why they tell you they're both the same, but they don't explain or understand the fact that one is weaker than the other. And this is what keeps perpetual energy flowing, the creation of Earth. So understanding the two fields. You put a weaker field here, I've got them both strong here, but put a weak field here, they connect here, and then it just becomes one big magnet. And then you've got all, let's call them electrons at the ends here with all the energy ready to go again. But they've connected up, found equilibrium, so they've just equalised and made the magnet longer basically. But this is how Earth is created, by the strong force coming down, which actually comes out of the tropics, but we'll get into that further on. You've got a strong force and a weak force. So they're always rushing to each other to find equilibrium. They never cease due to that strong and weak force. But we know a south and a north pole, we should know, not the science is telling you I don't think, a weak and a strong, they will come together, south and north, and find equilibrium. That equilibrium is the place of rest, the state of inertia. That's what creates the black hole. And then the forces avoid that because they're strong and weak. They're spinning around, rushing by it, still following their path, perpetual energy, motion because they're seeking out each other's balance. The strong force is seeking the weak, and the weak is seeking the strong. So a lot of them are going past. So a lot of it creates the rest, the balance, the pairing. This is what the pairing is in physics. As they pass by, there's some pairing, they find equilibrium, balance, and create the earth, create this whole internal system. So this is gravity. That's what gravity is. There's no force within the earth. It's the forces below earth that rise up, and the force from above, but obviously don't feel it, but they're spinning around, avoiding each other because of the imbalance of the two fields. They'll keep moving, but as they pass by, some have found their pairing, where they find equilibrium, the balance, the black hole. All the action is around the black hole. All the avoidance is around the state of inertia, Earth. And Earth is from the hole. You have to admit, you've just got to understand that. Earth is the plane of inertia, the place of rest, fixed and stationary. That's why the Bible states that, because it's fact. And all ancient philosophy talks about it. Earth is fixed and stationary. The two forces that come together create the Earth. There's nothing inside the Earth like a magnet, the iron core, all that rubbish. Ignore it all. So that's your good system there. Then we can look at Earth this way. Okay, we've got the central hyperboloid that comes right through the Earth, but we don't have to be concerned with what's below Earth. There's a dual system, but it breaks down like a magnet, so then we have a dual system up here. On this side, there's probably some weird dual system going on down here we don't know about. But for our life, it's up here. So we live in the light, in this field up here. So they talk about, well, we'll come over here to the nodes. This is what's happening in the tropics. We've got the magnetic fields that flow across the Earth from both ends, and they hit the tropics, the gap there, Cancer and Capricorn, and go straight down, then come under the Earth. So one's a positive, one's a negative type system going on, above and below, which creates the same as this. It's the sun's analemma. It's all the same. That's what a magnetic field is doing on a magnet. And these are the fields we follow if you use a compass. The compass follows these magnetic fields, like that. So in this tropical gap here, it's an exploded view of what's happening back in creation, the centre of the Earth. We do not know about, we can't see. But it's exploded out in the tropics. We don't see it there either actually, but this is what's going on. The two forces. So the field comes down, it spin around, come down, straight down, and then drawing up the opposite force. So it's happening like this. So, and what happens is they make a connection, a pairing. So this female comes in like this, called the female. Even in science, they've used the word daughter, cheekingly, which means I think they understand the Iliad totally. This is the female coming in, being pulled into there to pair with this rising force. Ancient cultures in the Americas, they have all this in their materials and art, designs. This goes way back to the beginning of time. It's all described in ancient philosophy. Antinodes out here. These are nodal points. As some of you might have noticed, a bit, not many, when Ken Wheeler was showing the magnetic field of a magnet, ring magnet I think, whatever, and you can actually see around the zone here, the nodal points. You see little bright lights, dots, all the way around here. It's the same thing. This is where we see the sun, isn't it? but it's actually from in here. It's another story. Just talking about gravity for now. But anyway, this system that comes up is the negative, is the friction of fresh water below Earth, constantly rising due to the downward force from above, the counter force, at the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer. It's the magnetic field. This is the Earth's magnetic field doing this. Okay? And this system up here, this pairing, creates the electrical. And this pairing here comes over and feeds the sun from above. This is the field that comes down here. Well, you also have to imagine this field here is inside one big, the overall hyperboloid. It's within this field here. It's actually just working in here, okay? It's a smaller version of this overall picture, but it's in here, up top here. So we could have drawn a big vortex here, so you've got the background stars. This is basically the Milky Way coming down, shooting down, because that's all the pairing that's come out of here. Shoots down to feed the sun, the ecliptic plane from this end. And this is rising up off the Arctic, which this here is actually part of the big overall, this big field here, because one big rising field. Okay? So it's like they're called the background stars. They're all coming up like this, while this Milky Way flows in from the top. And then we come to this here, because our whole realm is about male and female, friction. The male and the female. You've got the female here, well it's down that way, and the male coming up. And you have to look at it two ways, because creation is opposite to the physical world. So we have creation working this way, where the field is coming out of the tropics down into the sun this way. And we don't see that, but in the physical world it's flipped out the other way. It's all blown out from a hyperboloid, right? A torus is an expression of the hyperboloid. It's expressed out. Take it out, just flip it straight over. This is what we get, earthly. The female coming downward, shooting down the tropics, down there, and the other one coming up. Like this, and it's the friction that creates life. We know that, don't we? That's it. Is it considered as females and the daughters coming up to the suns, creating the sun to feed the main house, the main entity in here, the sun, the actual sun. So there's another way to look at it like this, because it's coming out of the southern hemisphere to the Tropic of Capricorn, comes out of the north to the Tropic of Cancer. We can look at it that way. So you've got this force inside here, which is the strong force in the centre, and out here you've got the weaker force in the southern hemisphere. Okay? Pairing is equilibrium, which is rest, which is the inertial, can't spell, inertial, there's an I there, something like that, equals the plane of Earth, fixed and stationary. Earth, fixed and stationary. All the action is around the horizon. Earth is in here. We see all this movement in the ecliptic plane. And then you've got the background stars. Now, there's a Nobel Prize in here for someone, if they can explain that, if they can prove this. If you had a big enough magnet in your Gauss meter or something, maybe other ways of doing it, but this is the strong force. It comes around loops around twice actually, and then comes back out, goes like this. It's a central vortex, strong point. Now, so this is like a cup, and there's another cup in there. And the Vatican put out a paper a couple of years ago, I noticed it. It said something about the Holy Grail being 2 cups. Well, there's 2 cups. I think they're referring to people who know the system. You have the Holy Grail. I mean, what does Grail mean? We've got holy to do with the black hole. It's the hole that's created. Holy Grail. There's 2 cups. And it describes as one that way and one the other way. 2 cups, one opposite. And if you've seen my model, I've produced a model in my earlier videos, same thing. Understand the magnetic field of a magnet, that's the beginning. You need to understand that, ignore what science is telling you. The overall forces, energy are the same, but one's a crunch point, choke point, stronger, weak force. And understand the whole system works on the dual system of a weak force rushing to the strong force rushing to the weak force. But at the meeting point, a lot of them are finding balance. Them, call them whatever you want, electrons, whatever. Finding balance, creating that. Now, man was created in the eye of God or something similar to God, can't remember the phrase now. And why it's connected with Earth. Earth is creation, God is creation. So let's have a look at this Earth. There's a tropical gap, right? Well, that field comes down like this and goes around into there like that. This comes down, avoids that and goes around like that. Then what do? You've got a opposite. You got yourself a mouth, haven't you? There's the lips. What have you got over here? You've got the 2 fields coming out. There's man's eyes. There's his eyes. There's his mouth. And what do you got down here? You got they talk about the pig and the pig or the sometimes you can draw it. It's it looks like the bull. It's coming down like that. Picture like that. And then what do you got out here? You got ears. Why have you got ears out here? Because that's the black hole. The black hole's an amplifier. The sounds come out of the black hole. There's the black hole. The sun has all the frequencies. The black hole is an amplifier. You know what a trumpet looks like? It's a black hole. The noise comes out. Sun's on the horizon with all the frequencies, all the notes. Same thing. This is what Earth. This circle here, I'm not quite sure how that comes about, but there's the 2 breathing in, breathing up. There's a helix, there's a dual system going on. So maybe you go to some sort of system like this again. And then like that, like that, like that, maybe. Breathing up, maybe not. But that's basically what it is, everyone. There's your ears, eyes, nose, mouth. It's all about the human head. That's why they talk about all this gory stuff, chopping off your head and all that. Executions, take off your head, because that's where all the knowledge is. And all the sacking of Troy. This is Troy. The gap, there's Troy, that gap. This is the Trojan War. This is war. During the day, the sun is at war. At night, the human mind, the pineal gland is at war, basically. So they call this war because it's a word they use even in science. What do they call it? Something tragic. You know, and it's associated with the war. the battle. Forgot about that, but I've got all that on my phone, but you know, all the information I've got on my phone, it's far too much to put into one video. So yeah. So there's the sacking, you see, off with your head. This is to do with the divine awakening of man too, the crossing of the sun's dilemma. There's the equinox. It's the 6th of September. I've done plenty of videos on that. Understanding the black hole, the two systems, 1 and 2. And an outer male, the sun, see? Sun must be right in here like that. Creates the baby. The baby figure. One camera. I've got 2 cameras filming this. Because I bought a new camera and I've never been able to download the actual video I wanted. So in case it didn't work this time, I've got the P19 on hand, and the P19's got another 6 minutes to go. So I might as well stop now. Okay? Or shall I? I think I've got it all out. So the magnetic field is not what science tells you. The magnetic field is outside, around the Earth. Around the Earth, and we see the stars moving in it, around it. We're on the plane of inertia. We all fall back to the plane of inertia. We have to fall back to that point. There's just nothing to stop us. We just have to fall back. You can't fall out off the state of rest. And understanding what's coming up through the Earth. This energy field that comes up through the Earth, and I'm saying that this water is the fresh water that comes all the way from the Arctic, flows under the ground, coming up to the tropics here. The energy, the friction is created, it's doing something. It's getting right into physics, like electrons and stuff. Call it whatever you want. But you know, there's the flat Earth model. You can't deny that. You've seen this, these patterns in traditional art, the Maori's tattoos on his nose, this sort of thing. You've seen this stuff here in the natives of America. Might have even seen this sort of thing in the Aborigines in Australia. I'll have to have a look into that. I feel like I've seen that before. But there's the biggie, understanding the magnetic field of a magnet to start with. And I just recently saw a flat earth video, and that idiot there was telling us you move in a straight line when you travel across Earth, laughing that we're saying it's curved. Oh, it's all over science. Okay. If you don't get that, you'll never get anything. You'll never get gravity at all. I'm pretty sure that was pretty basic, pretty simple, easy to understand. So if someone wants to know what gravity is, show them this video. I'm bang on.